Welcome to our holiday episode of the PDS podcast. In today's episode, we'll be chatting all about night sky photography, aurora borealis, and storm chasing with our special guest. But before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Miracle Dent Repair. We'll hear a little bit more about them a little later in the show. Also, if you're watching us live right now, just remember that this is the raw and uncut version of the podcast, which means you may see or hear some things that don't make it into the final episode. Also, during the break, you'll have an opportunity to ask today's guests some questions of your own. Now, you may have noticed that this intro has been pre-recorded, and the reason for that is because I had oral surgery yesterday and I will not be hosting tonight's show. So with that being said, I would like to welcome and introduce you all to today's guest co-host, Michaela Iwasik, who has been kind enough to step up and cover my spot for today's episode. So thank you, Michaela. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone. Just before we start, we wanted to make a quick mention of the events that happened on Friday night. As many of you have likely heard, there was an absolutely devastating tornado that occurred on Friday evening, affecting local communities across Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky. We would like to send our condolences to all those who have been affected by this tornado.
The American Red Cross is on the ground assisting families affected by the storms in Missouri and Arkansas, and have tweeted that they're assessing the situation and beginning relief efforts. So hundreds of workers and volunteers are working across the region to provide support to those in need. And there's also, I believe, people who are just going down and taking supplies to these communities, as well as there's also a GoFundMe link, which maybe Jordan can sneak in here somewhere, but
So the PDS podcast is trying to assist the Red Cross to raise disaster relief funds for those impacted by these storms. If you want to make a donation, please visit redcross.org/donate and select the disaster relief under the I Want to Support tab. And it's at the bottom of your screen there right now. So good evening, Michaela. Good evening, Shannon.
Good evening.
Hey.
Thank
How
you
are you,
for,
sir? I
am very festive with this distracting Santa hat. How are you two?
Good.
Very good.
Thank you for stepping in for Jordan tonight, Michaela. That's awesome. He's lurking in the backstage, but he won't be showing his face till the breaks.
That's okay. Might be a little swollen around the edges. I'm not. He's got a beard to hide it, though. He'll be fine.
That's right. Hey, you never even see the bruising.
That's right.
And that sick diamond-plated grill he's gonna get it's gonna make it all worth it.
He's been waiting for that forever. So
he has.
Yeah.
So tonight, our special guest is Shannon Bileski. Shannon's a photographer and a storm chaser based out of Manitoba. So I'm feeling pretty outnumbered. I've got two badass Manitoba chicks on tonight. I'm a little terrified.
You should be.
Her passions in photography include the night sky, Milky Way, northern lights, storm photography, and her lightning photos are by far some of the best I've ever seen. She can frequently be found standing on the roof of her Toyota 4Runner, dubbed the Stormtrooper, which you shouldn't do because that's terrible for them, capturing lightning and storm photographs. She's also recently caught a bucket list image that we'll show a little bit later in the show here. It's a shooting star and the aurora, I believe. Welcome to the show, Shannon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, I just want to, it's really, we never, as storm chasers, we never want to experience, any disasters. And what happened was an absolute disaster and tragedy. And my heart really goes out to them. So.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Watching that unfold was, it was terrifying. Yeah.
Well, we were actually on the Storm Chaser social that night, and we didn't even realize what was going on. Like, I mean, we were all talking and chatting, and we had no clue. I wasn't watching what was going on, and then seeing it afterwards, and just seeing the couplet and seeing some of the images, it was horrifying. So yeah,
it was.
Yeah, there's no words to describe that.
No. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's going to happen regardless of whether we're there or not. But knowing more about the weather and what can happen. I know you guys were both on the Scarth tornado and, came across some pretty unwanted scenes yourself. So, it's not something that we want, right? It's,
Never
if
ever
we see a storm, we don't want to see it do damage, at the most, in a field where, there's crop insurance and, there's no real harm done, right? So
out in the middle of a pasture by an old abandoned farm.
Yeah.
Then you've got some foreground.
Yeah.
That's right.
Throw some holes in some of those old barns and there you go, right?
Yes, exactly.
add some drama to those photos.
That's
right.
the only place tornadoes need to be.
Yeah.
All right. So we're jumping in.
Might as well jump right in.
Jump right in. So we're going to talk about aurora chasing. So Shannon,
Yes.
you, like many other Canadian photographers, Manitoba photographers, myself included, love going out to the middle of nowhere, crazy as we are, and freezing our rear ends off to photograph the aurora, as well as all of the other beautiful displays that appear in the night sky. I mean, it's such an indescribable feeling when you feel so small and insignificant and peaceful. It's such an amazing feeling. So you may not be able to feel your fingers or your toes, but the heart is warm. Yeah. So some questions for you about aurora chasing. What is it that attracted you to start taking photos of the glorious night sky?
Honestly, like I got into photography mainly because of storms and trying to catch that perfect shot of lightning. And so after I'll explain my story after, I think in the storm portion, but after seeing my first tornado, I bought my first DSLR in 2007. And so my sister-in-law and I ended up going out, started looking for the aurora and back in 2009 was when I started. And, we never had the data. Like we were basically looking at the Alaska forecast of, KP3, KP, 6, 7, which we never got back then, but it was basically 3 or 4, 5, back in 2009, 2010. And, so we would just go out and go check it out and we, sometimes we got lucky, sometimes we didn't. And, and it was always that chase for, it's kind of like going out for storms. Like you'd get like a 1 in 10 shot. It was a little bit less than that, I guess. Maybe, every third time that we would go out, we would actually get some aurora. And, it's kind of the excitement of the chase where you actually get something, right? So just being able to see it. And, I grew up in Thompson, which is about 8 hours north of here. And, we used to get it all the time. I took it for granted when I was growing up there. I spent 21 years up there. And, there's one night that I can remember, and it was absolutely magical. It was, so there's the trailer courts, and then there's Davis Bay, and then a great big field. And then there was the street that goes to my house. And so I think I was about 16 at the time, around midnight, and I was walking home, and Davis Bay was a little sketchy at the time. I don't know if it still is or not, but it was a sketchy area. So I had to go walking through there, and I was a little bit nervous and looked up, and I saw a shooting star. I saw the aurora. That was the best show I have ever seen in my life. It even tops the one that we had here on the 4th, November 4th here. But it was greens, it was pinks, it was yellows, and they were dancing in between each other. Like I just felt safe, and it was a magical night. So
nothing bad can happen when that's happening above you.
Yeah. And, and it was just one of those things, like I didn't even notice the aurora at the time until I saw the, that shooting star. And then it just made me look up and take it all in. And yeah, it was magical.
Well, that's crazy.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I need to go north a little bit more, I think, one of these days.
You do. Well, there's one day, as soon as we get another, major warning for another KP 7-8, I may actually go up to Pichu Falls, which is about half an hour south of Thompson. So if you ever want to go for the drive, we'll just go up for a night drive and
take me away.
Okay.
Don't leave me out. I'll drive.
You're over there. You're in Saskatchewan.
I'll meet you wherever.
Can we borrow your van?
Yes, I will dig it out of the snowbank.
Great.
What are you talking about? We've got the Forerunner.
That's right.
True.
The Stormtrooper.
I've got a built-in bed in the back. And
perfect. Wonderful.
So, do you have any special equipment for photographing, for photographing the night sky? I swear I've only had one drink. I swear.
Eloquent.
Right. Well spoken.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is, the wide angle lens, small f or large f-stop, which would be, the f2.8. I think I've actually got a 20 mil 1.8. So that's what I use to actually capture the live real-time aurora. And then just a camera that can handle a higher ISO. But really any DSLR, nowadays your phone can capture it. So
right? Isn't that crazy?
It is like I'm sitting there shooting video with my phone and it's crazy. Like
it's good quality, honestly.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it really pisses me off when I'm sitting there taking pictures of the aurora with my phone and my camera's sitting over there taking pictures and the phone looks pretty much just the same.
Like, yes and no. You take that and you bring it home and you try to process that. And it ain't happening.
Yes.
But at the time and for social, it's like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. The only thing I gotta say though is if you are going out and you are shooting photos of the aurora, if you have a filter, a UV filter or anything on your lens, take it off. That was the first mistake I made as a shooting the aurora was, my sister-in-law came back and we were both like, what is wrong with our pictures? And, there's this big ring around it. And then we found out that I can't remember, centric rings, I think is what they are. But it's basically caused by your filter. So you got to take that filter off.
Yikes. I did not know that.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
I don't own a filter, so I don't have that issue.
Yeah. You know what? A filter saved my camera. So.
Right.
Twice.
Yes.
Twice.
What did you dump it or what were you shooting?
Yeah. So there was one night I was out at Sandy Bay, which is probably 30 kilometers from here, north. And I was out with a bunch of people and I kind of went off on my own on the right and the aurora was like, okay, it was decent. And then all of a sudden it exploded. And so I had one camera set up that was just doing a time lapse and that was all fine. And I had my other one with me and I had my new 24-70 mil lens and it was all going good. And then all of a sudden the aurora went crazy. So I got a little nervous and was jumping around and stuff like that. Set up my camera and then a fish jumped right in front of me. I and knocked my camera over. So the lens, I had the lens hood and the filter, and actually no, I didn't have the filter on that time. It was the lens hood that saved it.
Oh yeah,
but the lens hood. So put your lens hood on.
Yeah, if you have a lens hood, use your lens hood.
But that hit against the rock, and that saved my camera. But another time, I actually dumped my entire bag about 6 feet and had a lens. The filter saved my lens. So.
I've been lucky. The only time I've dropped a camera is into the snow. Yeah. But they always land lens first.
They do. It's just heavy that way, right? It's just like, boop. Yeah.
Jerks.
Yeah.
I know. Isn't that terrible? I've dumped mine numerous times, but it's just a little scratch. It's like, it gives it character, right?
Oh, no, this one was a bad one. I was taking it out of my vehicle. And I was actually going on a storm chase. And so I was bringing my camera bag up. And I guess for some reason, one of the sides was completely open. So I pulled it over my shoulder and then turned around. And I had my 24 mil, my 70-200. I had, I think it was my D800 at the time. All of it went flying. And my 70-200 smashed up pretty good. The filter was completely smashed. But yeah.
Oh,
Yikes.
Fun times.
That
That's a
hurts
nightmare.
me. That's like
Oh, yeah.
cringe. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
cringing. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
They all survived. That's all good. That's what repair shops are for.
That's right. That's right. They stay in business because of our clumsiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any special spots that you are drawn to that's like Old Faithful that you like to shoot when there's some kind of event in the night sky?
Yeah, it all depends. I now have two. So I've got, I'm sure you've seen it, the tree. The tree is literally a 1-minute drive for me. I could probably walk there in less than 5. It's just down the road, so I can, go out in my PJs and, I've minus 30. I've gone out, with my truck and stayed warm in the truck and just kind of parked there and shot there. I've gone out, gone
Perfect.
there. So that's
Sounds
a good one.
Incredible. Yes.
Yeah. And then my other favorite spot is Sandy Bay. That's, I got to say, my favorite. I've always had luck there. It's also, it always changes. Like, so I've shot there so many times. There's rocks, there's beach. The last time I shot, I don't think I posted any. Actually, I think I posted one from the last show. And I've got like probably 3 of me and then my friend that was out with me. But I mean, you get indents in the sand, you get different patterns. Like there's, it depends on how much water there is. And, we've had water pretty much all the way up the beach. And the last couple of years that's been pushed right out. So you've got rocks, you've got, so many things. So that's my favorite spot, but it's a bit of a drive.
That's okay. It's worth it.
Yeah.
I think I already know the answer to this question, but is there a special night that stands out for you above all others when you shoot in the night sky?
Yes. You're going to show the picture, right?
Well, hopefully Jordan. Hey, there it is.
There it is. Wow.
Yeah. So
crazy.
So that people don't understand how rare that was. It's not just a meteor, but it was like, okay. So I'll start the beginning of the night. So basically what happened was, there was supposed to be Aurora. It was supposed to be KP4, I think. And I kind of debated back and forth. I'm like, do I go? Do I not go? Like this was March 30th. And it was, I think it was the Good Friday. And it was, as you can see, this is March and it was frozen solid. Like I think that night it was maybe minus 20. I want to say minus 23. So it was still really cold out. And so what happened was I must have gone back and forth at least 5 to 10 times. I'm like, screw it, I'm going to go. So I ended up going out and there were some friends out at Patricia Beach and met up with them. There are some astrophotography friends that were shooting out there. And so everybody was pretty much packing up and leaving right around 11 o'clock. So it was just me and my friend, Sheila. And so she had just taken a shot, packed up her camera. As she was packing up, this happened.
Oh no.
And we were both like, whoa. And it was straight green and explosions, like where you see those bright lights in there, those were explosions of green. Like I couldn't even explain it. Like I didn't even know what I was seeing at the time. And like, I thought it was a flare. Like it looked like a flare going the wrong way. Like it was just, it was incredible. And then she's like, oh my God, did you get that? And I'm like, I think so. And the camera was still going. So I would say that like it lasted probably a good 4 to 5 seconds. On that was an 8-second exposure. We were just waiting for it to finish. But I was actually set up to take a pano. And I think beginning of this year, I actually finally finished that pano image, but this was taken at like 14 mil or 16 mil. Wow. 16 mil. So you can like imagine, like that's pretty wide. How big that actually was.
I was going to say, that's going to be huge.
Yeah. Like, I don't think people realize how special that really was. So,
yes.
So yeah, I still haven't seen anything like it since.
Good chance you never will.
No,
right.
No, it was funny because I was talking with Adrian of night lights, and he up in Norway, and he's like, yeah, that's like a once in a lifetime shot. Like you'll never get that again.
Garrett.
So
Thanks, Garrett Beverly says that was just Santa coming in hot. Pretty epic photo for sure.
In March.
Sorry,
March.
guys.
Christmas in March. Yeah.
Having technical difficulties over here.
Oh, no worries.
Hold on.
So
The
this'll just
headphones
keep
are
dro-
connected to Apple Music, and it just keeps playing and playing. There we go.
This
Shut
will
it
keep
off.
Jordan busy. He can edit all this out. That's the beauty of this part.
To all
This
the
is just
live
raw.
viewers, give me a break. Just give me a free pass.
Surprise!
Blast your ears with some metal that I accidentally played. They're never gonna have me back here.
That's not true at all. You can't get fired that easy.
No.
I'm still here,
That's true. How does that happen?
right?
Yeah, you're like the founder. Well, you're one of the founders. You get a free pass.
Phew.
Sorry.
At least you're wearing a Santa hat, so thank you.
Well,
That's
only
right.
after you two ridiculed me and I had to run in and steal my child's.
I took mine off. It just looked like I was wearing weird ears. The effect was lost. All right. Oh, it's my turn. My turn to grill Shannon some more. What would you say is the biggest difficulty or challenge when photographing the night sky?
Honestly, now too many cameras.
Oh boy,
Too many.
is that a
and not
problem?
enough. Too many and
Right.
not enough. I don't know. Honestly, I guess focusing would be the biggest one, I think.
Mhm.
You know, and like, especially if you don't have, like, I find if you've got, like, I still struggle with live focusing on a star. It's never bright enough for me. And with my eyes, I don't know, like, just, I need glasses now. So I'm getting old.
You're wearing
It
glasses.
happens.
So yeah, like I find without having some kind of like a light on the horizon, kind of in the distance, I find those are easier to focus on than the stars. But one of the tricks I was actually using a long time ago, it still works, I just haven't done it, is because I don't get that much in advance anymore, but is if I know I'm going out for the night, I'll take the camera and I will focus on the horizon and lock in that focus. And then what I'll do is I'll take one of those like charity bands, those rubber bands, and I'll stick it in between the focus ring and the and the part that doesn't move on the lens, and then it locks that focus in place. And that's honestly been the sharpest focus I've ever had on shooting. So good tip for
That's a good idea. That's
Yeah.
a very good idea.
Yeah, I can even grab a lens and show you after the break if anybody's interested. But
So do you have any other tips for someone who maybe has never seen the aurora or is trying to see it for the first time?
watch the aurora.
My favorite one is
Yes.
go outside, face north, look up.
Yeah. Basically.
You would think that that's like standard, right? But a lot of people ask, where can I see it?
Yeah.
I'm thinking the
Birds Hill
Manitoba
Park.
aurora.
Birds Hill
Yes.
Park. No, just kidding.
Yes. Just be
The Ma-
careful. Apparently, that's the only place you can see it in the whole world. Is
Oh, and
at-
Okramik Marsh. Okramik
yes, that's right.
That was a bit of a scandal last year, was it not?
It was kind of crazy up there. Yeah.
It was.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, there was one night a friend and I went out, and I was coming back, and the street. Actually, that was in March. I think it was in March. The roads were crazy slick, and there was like the amount of traffic that was coming back, because I came back down 67, and then I came up to 59. And yeah, the amounts of traffic that were coming back from that area were just insane.
Right.
It was insane.
It's like, did you know that you don't have to go somewhere where people congregate? Like you can just go in the middle of nowhere by yourself to see it.
Yeah.
But I don't get it.
Yeah.
I like to be
You're
alone.
better off if you're better off if you're alone.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Get out in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. The focus peaking helps. I still find that it's not as sharp as I want it to be, though.
Mm-hmm.
The perfectionist in you.
I am.
It's the worst though when you go to process your image and you've got like the stars are just not right. They're not tack sharp. Oh my
That's
gosh, that
fuzzy.
drives me insane.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna vignette the edges.
Why is this fuzzy?
Right?
Yeah, the other tip I can give somebody is if you do focus, you change locations, you move your camera at all, check your focus again. Because I did it that night, November 3rd, 4th. Because I think I was out shooting by about 7:30, I think, at night, and then changed locations around 10:30, I think. And we went up to Sandy Bay, and from Victoria Beach to Sandy Bay. And I was shooting with one camera, set it up, and then came back to the other camera, and I was shooting for a while. I even shot real-time video, didn't even look at the focus, and I lost probably, I don't know, maybe an hour's worth of stuff. So it's like, whatever. I mean, it wasn't the 2 a.m. stuff. So it was
right.
At 2 a.m. I made sure everything was good.
Sometimes you forget though. You just get so excited and you're just like, yeah, it's good. And then it's like,
fine.
What have I done?
Yeah.
At least you got to see the show with your eyes though. So that's important.
Yeah. And that's the one thing, sometimes like you just put the cameras down and you just stand there in awe.
That's
and
right.
you just like November
Time
4th,
lapse
like
it.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even what, honestly, videoing it was it was always on my bucket list to video Aurora.
Yes.
So I'm so happy I was able to do it. And, being able to walk around and show people like, this is real time. This is happening right now. Right. Like
this is what it actually looks like without editing, without anything. It's just real, raw. Yeah.
Exactly. This is outside my house.
Yes. A lot of people don't even think that you can see them in Manitoba. They think that you have to go all the way up north, and it's like, the aurora sometimes will even just like south of us where we're looking down towards the States because the aurora oval has just gone over our heads, which is a really weird thing to experience.
Super unsettling.
This was the first time that I think I've ever seen it that far.
Oh, really?
That far south.
It was weird. And you can see like it's like a wall rushing at you, right? And you're kind of like, whoa. And then it's the other direction. It's very interesting.
And it's like, where do you look? I'm like, I'm looking there. I'm looking here. I'm looking
Your
south.
neck is
where do I go?
Your neck is sore. Yes. Someone wants to know, my favorite app for Aurora is Space Weather Live. I don't know what Shannon's and Curtis's are. Same. Yeah. Great.
Pretty much the same.
Great app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't know if you can see it, but in the tree.
Oh, you have your little Aurora monitor from Mark. We love ours.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Thank you, Mark, wherever you are.
Jason's
right there. Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't it cool? Love it.
I was so bummed out that you're out of the parts.
I was hoping it was going to glow green because I know there's supposed to be potential for Aurora tonight. So.
Oh, yes.
I got some notifications earlier today, but I haven't had any lately.
I haven't even looked. I've been busy eating tacos. So.
Taco Tuesday.
That's right. You know it. Yes, Tracy. Mark is back ordered on parts for that beautiful contraption. So hopefully he can get more in. And I was like, Mark, you have to like mass produce this thing because I don't want to sit there all night getting up and checking notifications. I just want like the thing to buzz and blind me. And then I'll be like, all right, I'm getting up now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Real, it turned purple.
Yes.
Well, that was awesome. It was like I think it was within the first 2 or 3 days that I got it, and it was glowing purple, and I'm like, oh my god, this is
go run!
So jealous.
Yes. What is your favorite night sky subject to photograph and why?
Favorite night? I don't know. It honestly, right now, it's a toss-up between the aurora and the Milky Way. I mean, I've seen a lot of aurora in my time, but honestly, the second best show I saw was just November 4th. So I know we're going to be in for a lot more good shows over the next little while. So over the next, probably a good 5-6 years, we're going to be in for some good shows. But the Milky Way's kind of captured me over the last little while, the last couple of years. So I haven't been.
Sorry, your monitor is blinking green now. Just now that you had said it, it's flicking
Oh, it does.
Oh,
that
yes,
every
it
now
does
and-
that.
Oh,
Yeah, that's it. That's it going out and checking.
I
if
got
the magic is
excited.
there.
Yes.
Something
It'll,
shiny. I'm
like-
sorry.
It'll like glow. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Um,
what was I saying? What were you
We
gonna
were
say?
talking about the Milky Way, and I just said how the Milky Way is more constant. So it's not such a rush to go and compose your shot, right? Like if you kind of know basically where it is in the sky, when it's going to set, when it's going to rise. So you can kind of compose your shot with your foregrounds, which I know you're like me. You love, to find that foreground to add some interest. And so that's the nice thing that I enjoy about the Milky Way is how it's more versatile. It's not.
It is,
not
but
as,
it's still rare. Like I find
it is. Yeah.
like to find the perfect, to find the perfect, like I guess no ambient light, to find the
Yes.
perfect spot, to
Yes.
find no moon, to
Yeah.
like certain things have to align in order for the
Yeah.
Milky Way to work, right?
Definitely.
Especially when you're shooting and it has to be like at a certain time in order to line it right with your shot.
Yeah.
That type of a thing. So I think that's what I find intriguing about the Milky Way. Like I like being challenged. I like something new. I like challenges. So for me, I think that's what I like about the Milky Way. It's a new challenge that I can go after.
Right.
And I just got a astromodded camera, so I'm very much looking forward to trying
That's
it out.
exciting.
Well, that's
Yay.
special equipment.
Yeah, so
Yes,
I'm
that is
definitely
special equipment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like, did you purchase it or is it
No,
modified? Like
got
with
it
the Star
modified.
Tracker?
Yeah.
Right. So you've got a tracker on it, and what else do you have on it?
Well, it's got the what is it? It's not the infrared, but it's I can't remember the name of it, but there's a special filter on it that that pulls in the reds and the hydrogens from the night sky. So
Right.
I'd like to try to do some work eventually on my dog's dreaming, doing the nebula and stuff. I would love to get into that. I'd love to get a telescope and do some more of that stuff, but that's further off for now. I'm like, my biggest thing right now is just getting the Milky Way, doing some good track shots, and stacking them all up together. So,
Oh, that's exciting.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Well, thank you. So am I.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Jason was just razzing me about my Christmas hat, and I have it here. It's just cutting me off, and I look like a mouse. So literally, my kid wore these at school today. They were in her bag, so I just went and like grabbed them. So
Well,
Tracy has a question about settings on the camera. Shannon, do you want to answer that one since you're the pro?
So typically for the Aurora, I shoot my ISO a little bit lower. So my ISO it all depends on your camera, but my camera can handle my D800, the D850, Nikon D850, can handle pretty high ISO. My Nikon Z6 can handle more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my Z6, I usually have it at 3200 ISO. My D50, 850, I've got at 1600 ISO. And then depending on how bright the Aurora are, will be how long I shoot, how many seconds I shoot for. There is also the 500 rule, which is, I can't remember what it is. You basically take your focal length times divided by 500, I think, will give you how many seconds you should be shooting, kind of your max shutter speed, because you don't want your stars to trail, and that'll give you when your stars will start trailing. So for Milky Way, I usually shoot anywhere from 3200 to 6400 to pull in more of the light from the Milky Way itself. And then what you can do from there is you can actually stack your photos to get rid of any grain. So I find usually about 8 photos, 6 to 8 photos, you can do pretty decent. Thank you.
you're welcome.
So you can usually do 6 or 8, and there's to stack those, and that'll give you like hardly any grain coming out of that. Lots of light in your Milky Way, and you're good to go. So yeah,
perfect. Well,
and there's lots of stacking programs out there. Sequitur is a really good one. Star Stacks is another. They're both free. So
perfect. I don't do any of that, so that's great. Good to know.
Well, I think on that
stacking.
I think on that note, no, that's all right. I can just see Jordan getting all impatient and twitchy back there in the back room. So we'll take our first break so Jordan doesn't feel left out any longer. And when we come back, we'll hear from Vorticity Storm Tours and our sponsor.
This episode of the PDS podcast is brought to you by Miracle Dent Repair. Their paintless dent repair process maintains your original factory finish with no repainting or parts to order. Miracle Dent Repair is an MPIC approved facility for hail damage that was incorporated in 2008 and has been awarded the top auto body repair in Winnipeg in 2020 and 2021. Handling all of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, U-Haul, and Winnipeg School Division's fleets, Miracle Dent Repair is a strong supporter of our military, animal shelters, and Cancer Care Manitoba. They handle all makes and models from ultra-late to classic cars. So when hail damage happens, bring it to the hail repair specialists at Miracle Dent.
All right, and we're back. So with this being our holiday special, we wanted to take a few minutes to give you all some gift ideas for the weather geeks in your family. We got a ton of neat products in our merch store, which is at mbstorm.redbubble.com. We've got everything from shirts to hoodies to clocks to travel mugs, phone cases, iPad sleeves, you name it, it's in there. You can find the perfect gift while you're here. I particularly like, if you can see the clock that's orange, blue, and black. It shows chase clouds, eat a gas station burrito, and then listen to the PDS podcast. That's all you need to worry about doing during your day.
I wish. Oh, Michela, is that your plant?
Yes.
That's absolutely her plant.
Very nice Hoya there.
I purposely left my plant out of scene so you don't see how horrible it is.
I told you I would give you some tips.
All right.
Tips.
Now it's time for 21 questions, where we get to learn all about Shannon's storm chasing and photography, which we started a little bit on the break. So, because I really don't know much about storm chasing, I really like to take advantage of this. And every single person we have on, I want to know what their secret weapon is. When you're looking at the models, what are you looking for? What's your parameter that you see it and it's like, I have to go?
Well, I'm kind of like Michelle. I'm not super technical. There was, I always took kind of note from the ECC storm forecasts until Scarf Day. That's when I'm just like, no, I'm not trusting them anymore. And then I would go and take a look at the models because I honestly don't have a ton of time. So I'd like to get more into looking at the models on a daily basis and that kind of thing. But the things that I typically look for is I look at the 500 millibar winds. I look for the jet there, the jet there. I look for the surface maps. I look for kind of all the fronts. I look at the 700 millibar to see if there's any kind of cape. What else? Kind of look at most of the parameters just to see where things are kind of lining up. Usually look at a few different models, kind of the NAM 3K, the RAP, and the HER closer to, just to kind of see where things are lining up and see how things are looking. And then for the day, I pretty much just take a look at the surface maps and see where the fronts are and see where the best winds are and that kind of a thing. So
neat. Oh, yeah. There's Garrett. Sheer cape and instability. Twister funnel time. When he says it like that, it sounds so simple.
It does.
Oh, And I look for the dry line. The dry line is always the moisture. So
perfect. Storm chasing 101.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn.
It is your turn.
Okay. I'm getting the private life here, Shannon. What do you do when you're not storm chasing? And I can answer this, but I want everyone else to know what Shannon likes to do in her off time.
what do I do in my off time?
What off time? You're a busy lady.
Yeah, I've got 2 dogs, which
Yes.
are one's licking their butt right now, so my apologies.
Just showing off.
So I do work full time. I'm a solutions analyst for an insurance company. And then I've got 5-acre property that usually I try to keep up. And this weekend I was chopping wood and getting things ready for the cold weather that's coming. And and then I do photography in my spare time. So
In your spare time.
in my spare time, I find a little bit of
I'm not chopping wood. I am taking photos.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I wish I was out chopping wood right now.
No, you don't. Your ears
Well, I love
would
it.
be
You'll
flopping
love it.
around.
You should see me with a chainsaw. Pretty
I would be terrified of you with the chainsaw.
probably, yeah, that's accurate. I lost my spot here. Quick, Curtis, cover it for me. Oh, I'm back. Okay. What do you enjoy? What do you enjoy the most about storm chasing? I know that's going to be a hard one.
Hitting the open road, just that freedom and just getting out. Like for me, it's it is the open road. Like I love it. I love the driving. Like that's the one thing about this whole pandemic that I'm finding is I'm missing my hour-and-a-half drive every day. That's my alone time. That's my me time. That's my zen time. So except when I'm in Winnipeg traffic and road raging, but
The worst place to drive ever.
It is. I honestly like it's being under the skies and that anticipation. It's chasing after those storms and you never know what you're going to get. It's meeting up with friends along the way and chatting with them and having steak afterwards, hopefully, and a drink and chilling with them. So that's always cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how did you get interested in storm chasing? Do you have professional training or?
Well, so it originated back when I was about 6 years old, back up in Thompson, Manitoba. And honestly, up there was no storms. We didn't get a lot of storms up there. But I remember having a dream when I was 6 and there was, it was weird, but there was little tornadoes. There were like little tornadoes, little fat tornadoes that would come out of the sky, drop down to the ground and take out houses. So I watched as one dropped and took, like, it was probably about the height of a house and it took out the entire other side of the street. And I watched it from the front window. So this is all a dream, 6 years old. Okay. So this wasn't reality. So like, I don't know if it was the Wizard of Oz or what it was, but ever since then, I kind of had dreams all the time about tornadoes and storms. And when I was 8 years old, I got my first little point and shoot film camera. And
with the thumb wheel?
Oh yeah, like click. Yeah, one of those. And so I always tried getting pictures of lightning with it. And I think when I was 12, I did get a shot of lightning and it was ISO 800, I think, at the time. And it was literally just one little streak of lightning going across.
But you got it.
But I got it. So ever since then, I've been trying to get a better picture of it. And then in 2007, there was the Eli tornado. So my partner and I at the time were driving, he had mentioned on, he was watching, the Weather Channel and that little ticker tape at the bottom and everything, and severe thunderstorm watch in effect. And So he's like, well, let's go now because there might be thunderstorms. So it's like, okay, like rush out of the house and off we go, because we had to go to Brandon to see my my sister and my niece. It was her 3rd birthday party. So so we headed out of the house, and then, you know, I was telling a friend the week before, literally a week before, I'm like, I would pay $10,000. I don't have it, but I'd pay $10,000 to go and see a tornado, like have somebody like show me a tornado. So driving down the road, and, you know, it didn't, like, it was blue skies on one side. It was a little dark on the other. And I knew nothing about storm chasing at the time. I knew nothing of it. And then all of a sudden it was dark, and I noticed something drop out of the sky. I just noticed something. I'm like, I swear that's a funnel cloud. Like, I've never seen one, but I swear that's a funnel cloud. He's like, no, it's just a funny cloud. So sure enough, like within 2 minutes, this thing was on the ground. We watched it from start to end. We had, what was it? Golf ball sized hail that was being flung at us. Like, that was the first thing that we really noticed out of the storm, was this golf ball sized hail. It like hit the windshield, and we were doing like 110 down the highway. And, you know, it felt like, you know, the windshield was about to crack. And yeah, so it was crazy. It was crazy to witness. It was amazing to see. It was amazing that nobody got hurt out of it. You know, and at one point we were like, if you look on my YouTube, there's actual video of it. I've got pictures of it. I ended up doing a little scrapbook of it. But we saw both tornadoes, that one and the Oakville tornado. I have a picture of the twins at the time. And, you know, at one point it was so close to us that it's just like, okay, like, let's turn around. So we kind of took an exit and got at a point where we could turn around, and we actually turned around because it was really close. Like, I've got a picture out of the rear view window. And it, you know, you can see the dirt picking up on the ground because it ended up hopping the highway pretty much at the same time that we had turned around. And yeah, and then we came back around and we saw it just before it dissipated, and we saw the Oakville tornado on the left of it as well. So, and then it's like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, we had no idea. Like,
what did you do?
So it was like, okay, well, we can continue going. And we had the collar cloud and the wall cloud like rotating right above us. And you could see this little thing trying to still come out at the same time. And it was literally like right above us on the left-hand side. And it's like, okay, well, you know, it's like, do we just gun it and go, or do we wait it out? And it's like, no, let's just gun it and go. So, so that's what we ended up doing. And, you know, it was amazing because the second that we got out from the wall cloud, there was like a rainbow and sunshine, and like it was just this one little area. Like it was incredible. And that's kind of what started my fascination with storm chasing itself. Cause it's like, we were so close. It's like, you know, in some cases, you know, you can outrun it. You can see what it's doing, and you can follow its movement. And especially knowing now what I know, you know, we could have been in a position where we would have been safer than what we were. But at the same time, it was the realization that, you know, this thing is big and nasty, yes, but, you know, we could maneuver around, right? And it's not as big as you think it actually is when you're actually there. So, you know, it's hitting small areas for Manitoba anyways, as far as I've seen. You know, they're relatively smaller. So yeah, so that's where I kind of started from. I learned more about it, learned more about the forecasting, became a little bit more brave over the years, I would say. You know, and, you know, the lightning is my passion still. You know, that's what got me into it, and that's still what I love to see. That's what gives me energy, and yeah.
Awesome. So I think you answered this in the previous question, but where was the first tornado you've ever seen or you ever saw?
That was Eli.
Oh, it was Eli? It wasn't the one up north?
That was my first one. That was my first one. I saw it pretty much from start to end. I saw the twins. So, you know, an F5.
It's not a bad first
F5
tornado.
and twins can't top that, Billy.
Yeah, whatever.
No.
It's no big deal.
Yeah. And then from there, Also from there, I was going to add is 2015 and 16. I ended up going on extreme tornado tours. I took 2 of those. So if anybody's interested in going out and learning more and kind of seeing what people do, definitely go on a tour. I know Jordan's got his tour, right?
I was going to say, I would recommend Vorticity Storm Tours.
There you go. And honestly, like we got super close with the tornadoes. Like in 2016, we saw 24 tornadoes in 5 days, and we were like 50 to 100 yards from each one. So you can't get any better than that. Like it was, pretty incredible. So I learned a lot off of those, as well as going down with friends the last few years. I've gone down with Tom, and I've seen Jordan down there a lot, and meeting up with them and learning from them as well. So
that's awesome.
Yes, definitely. I never got to go on a tour. I'm a little bit jealous. What do you drive as your storm chasing vehicle, and what special equipment do you have to go along with it?
So I've got my Toyota 4Runner, and I set it up, what was it, last year or the year before, I guess. So I've got special drawers now, and a sleeping platform. So I can and I've got that set up, kind of late spring all the way till fall, late fall. And so that I can, I've got everything in there that if I need to pull out of bed for the night, I can just take a nap in the back, and it's very comfortable. I've also got all of my safety gear. So I've got first aid kit. I now have, as of last year, I've got an AED in there. So if anybody ever gets struck by lightning, or anybody comes across me and I've been struck by lightning, it's in my back drawer, just to say. Lightning's dangerous. And I always tell my family, if I'm out storm chasing and I get hit by lightning and I die happy. So
it was meant to be.
Yeah. I always say, when I'm 90 and I'm in a wheelchair, just wheel me out into a tornado and call me Dorothy. I don't know. What else do I have? I usually bring, for any electronic equipment, I usually have my cell phone on me. But my cameras, I always have my cameras set up on tripods, or I've got one camera now set up on my windshield mount. I've got my Wi-Fi extender, signal extender, that I pull out every now and then when I'm in southern Manitoba and they don't have enough data. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Relatively simple, I guess, right?
It's easier, I find, when you've got, like, sometimes when I'm watching Aaron chase and he has, quite a bit of equipment, not as much as some people, but I'm like, how do you manage? How do you triage what comes first? What camera? I just couldn't handle that. So I totally agree with you that the least amount of equipment that you can get your job done and keep everything safe and get your shots. Totally the way to go. Definitely. Yeah. If you were to guess, how many tornadoes have you seen, or have you caught since you started chasing? I know that's a loaded question.
It is. There's a lot of people who count. I'm not a counter. I know we caught the 24 that one year. I got to be close to 100, I would say. Gotta be.
So the correct answer then is all of them.
What's that?
All the tornadoes.
The correct answer is all of them.
All of them. Yeah. Good answer.
But that's a pretty big number, over 100.
Yeah.
I'd say close to 100. Not quite 100, but probably close to. Yeah.
That's awesome. Crazy.
Yeah.
A lot more than Curtis and I.
Way more. But
yeah, but look what you guys got last year. Come on.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite storm to chase, like a tornado or a structure, or what do you go out after most of the time?
I'm just kind of there for whatever. I like structure. I like the tornadoes, as long as they're photogenic for the most part and staying in fields and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, like I think one of the favorite ones I would say would be one I caught with Tom in Wyoming. It was like 16 degrees and we were like at 8,000 feet or something like that. Like it was the coldest tornado that either one of us had seen. And it was absolutely beautiful. Like I've got it up on the wall. Like it's just, I had a nice little windy road that was leading right up to it. Like it was perfect. And yeah, it was neat. Eli, of course, Dodge City was another one that was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It's hard to top those two, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Those are like the pinnacle of what you want to see.
Yeah. Like I know Dodge City, like we saw 12 tornadoes that day. And, right afterwards we were all on such a high from seeing it all. Right. Yeah. And we were all at the liquor store. We were all going to go buy some liquor and it's, and then we saw the Mamatis hit and it's like, okay, people who want to drink, get your drinks. The rest of you come in the van. We're going to go get some pictures of the Mamatis. So I'm like, I gave somebody my cash. I'm like, here, grab my booze. I'm hitting the road. Right.
And I want to do both.
And so like the shot I got of the Mamatis, like, in that, and it was a mud puddle that I shot it in, and I got a mud booter. Most people should know what a booter is. But yeah, like it was incredible.
That's awesome.
Oh, Buford. Was it Buford?
Buford, Wyoming, coldest, driest, and driest tornado.
Yeah, that one was pretty incredible.
All yours, Curtis.
Is it my turn? Oh, it is.
No, no, it's not. Is it? No, yep, you're still on.
Okay. So what? No, would you consider storm chasing to be an addiction?
It is. I think it's it's hard to say. Like for me, it's yes, it is an addiction.
It is. You're right. It is.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Adrenaline rush.
Yep, it is.
Good. Yeah.
There's a reason we drive thousands of kilometers and spend all of our money on fuel and gas station burritos. It's
right. It's not that.
You know what? It's like it's all of it. It's the whole experience. It's not, like your storms are usually like a very small amount of everything else that goes into it, right?
The tiniest little part.
Yeah. Literally over within maybe 5 minutes sometimes. And you've spent 10 hours driving, 2 hours crying, peeing in bottles, peeing on the
bottles. What the hell?
Anyway, moving on. So
I gotta learn the 30-second pee behind the vehicle.
Also that. You could Are you going to pull over when there's a tornado right there? I have a nervous bladder, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Where are we, Curtis?
We are on question number 12, and it is yours.
What has been your greatest accomplishment as a storm chaser to date? Not peeing in bottles, that's for sure.
Yes, not peeing in bottles.
Although that is a handy talent.
It is. Well, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I'm a behind the vehicle. I would rather be. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. So my greatest accomplishment.
Yes.
I don't even know. Honestly.
That's a tough one.
What's that?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I guess the forecasting and nailing that forecast is kind of one of those. I still haven't had one that I'm super, super proud of for the most part, but I know the River City tornado, that was one that, I was forecasted for. I was sitting there, I was waiting for Katie. And I'm just like, I see this thing, like it was forming right next to me and I was waiting for her. I'm like, you know what? She was 40 or 45 minutes away from me. I'm like, do you mind if I just go? I don't think you would mind, but can I just go for this thing? And I literally sat in front of this thing. Like everybody else was kind of waiting on the road. And I went for it. And I'm like, I got right up in the circulation And I sat there and I could see the motion, I could see the spinning. And then all of a sudden I just had this like curtain of rain that started wrapping right around me. And I'm like, oh, time to go. So I turned around and it was literally in my rear view camera that I got the tornado as it was coming down. So that was pretty cool. That was
that was this past, like up north of Brandon, right? River.
Not this year, but it was last year.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that. I was like, River City. Yes. Okay, I remember what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Did you happen to get it out of the passenger side rear view mirror where it says objects in mirror closer than they appear?
Probably.
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Complete Jurassic Park reference.
Yeah.
That's right. That is.
Yeah.
Great. I like that scene. Okay, number 12 and 13. Oh,
and 14 are all yours.
I'm on 13, right?
Yes.
What has been your biggest disappointment as a storm chaser today?
Well, so that's a double-edged sword because I'm kind of glad I missed it. But at the same time, I kind of wonder, if I was there, could I have helped? Could I have done something different? Right. And that's the Scarth tornado. Like, I was like, I think it was the night before I had a migraine, or I started getting a headache that night. And then I woke up the next morning with an incredible migraine. And I don't think I got rid of it until about 2:00 in the afternoon. And I was still dizzy at that point. But I was keeping an eye on things and it just like, to me, it just didn't look like it was lining up 100%. So I'm like, meh, not worth it. Right. Not worth the 4.5 hour drive.
Right.
So, and then I saw, I think Jordan's live feed or something like that. And maybe you had posted a picture, Michaela, and there was a little tornado that had come down. There was, and I'm like, okay, that looks kind of cool. Didn't expect it to be anything. And then not even 5 minutes later, there was on Twitter, there was a shot of Aaron with this massive tornado in the back. I thought it was fake. Like when I first saw it, I thought it was fake. I'm like, no way.
Everyone did.
And then I'm like,
literally
real.
Everyone.
Yeah. And then what happened afterwards was tragic and so for that reason, I'm kind of glad I wasn't there, but at the same time, I wonder if I would have been able to help out. Right.
Yeah, definitely. I totally understand.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I would like to get more into and kind of be more proud of, I think, is being able to give more education to kids and in schools and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to look into that into the future and do more of that because Manitoba does get tornadoes, but I think it's important to get that education out there.
Definitely. And we get them, they're few and far between, but it seems as though when they do happen, they're quite large, quite prolific. They're quite strong and violent tornadoes when when it does all come together. So, I definitely education is very important, and if the kids can retain some pieces of that and it can help in some way, then that's incredible. So, what kind of photography equipment do you use? I know you said you have a Nikon Z6 and a Nikon D85, D80?
D850, and I just got a D750. So
you are packing heat.
I am, and then I've got all the lenses. I'm set now. I shouldn't buy anything else.
Come on.
You never
actually no. There's
the Z9 came out.
One more piece of glass that I want, and that would be the Sigma Art 14 mil 1.4 1.8.
I've got the Sigma Art 24 1.4. No.
I've got the 20 1.4. Great lens.
Yeah.
The only lens you can overexpose at night with.
Yeah. Right? I think, you know what? I might sell up some lenses to actually go and get that one. So,
See, that question is in there just to try to spike a little controversy between Canon and Nikon, just for fun.
Canon.
But
what?
Nikon.
I almost switched from Nikon. I almost went to Sony. It was
a lot of people did but I see now that a lot of people that had switched to Sony have now gone back to their original setup, whether that be Canon or Nikon. I don't know, but they've all kind of
Yeah.
Sony's out now.
Yeah. You know what though? I still wouldn't mind the Sony the A7S 3 or 4.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just for the low ISO capabilities.
Yes.
Or high ISO capabilities for shooting real-time aurora at night.
For sure.
That
That would be-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You've got some things to add to your wish
Yeah.
list.
You're never done.
No.
Never done.
No, you're not. It's such an expensive hobby because you
It's
think
not.
you have everything, and then they come out with, "Oh, look at this! Look at this! You need this," and it's like, "All right, take
You
my
wanna make-
credit card."
Yeah,
take
it's
my
like, yeah, I kind of want an astromodded, and it's like, oh, I kind of want that, right?
money. Right. And getting into different types of photography and different styles and things, you're like, oh, okay, well, I kind of need this for that, and oh yeah, it's never ending.
If you want to make sure your kids never do drugs, teach them photography as a hobby because they'll never have money to buy them.
Right? I like that. But when they're young kids, though, and you're footing the bill,
It hurts. It hurts. But
exactly.
so, do you think the weather patterns are changing with the way things are going, and do you think it's affecting Tornado Alley or the types of tornadoes we're getting or when we're getting them?
Absolutely. I think we've seen that, right? We've seen that in the stats, even like, climate change is real. Plain and simple. I mean, I think there's always going to be weather patterns that are going to change over the time, right? But we've already experienced, oh geez.
Well,
I don't
Friday's
have
tornadoes.
stats in front of me, but we've already increased our average temperature by 2-3 degrees, I think, over the last 10-15 years, right? So that the pattern is already there for that, but we're always going to have our La Niñas or La Niños. Like, we're always going to have the different weather patterns that affect these things, right? And it's interesting because I'm curious how COVID is going to play into the next few years, because there has been less. There's been more stuff about the fisheries. There's been less fishing. There's been a lot of other stuff too, right? That is affecting things. Like there's what was it? There was whales and stuff that were entering places that they never did before, right? Because the people weren't there. So without the people being in these places, I'm curious how that's going to affect some of these things as well.
Well, that was over in Asia, wasn't it?
Wasn't it tigers? There were tigers roaming around or something. I don't know.
Because the water's so much cleaner that the fish were actually moving back in.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Even just on the highways, like driving home, the amount of deer that were just kind of meandering around was.
Yeah. Well, look at the bears. Like there's been the hunters from the States and overseas haven't been coming in, right? So the amount of bears that Manitoba has had has been incredible. I've had one bear a mile down the road from me for as long as I've been here.
Right.
And now there's been an influx of bears in the area. Like I had one in my front yard for
So,
right.
So COVID has affected aurora shooting by not containing the bears.
Yes.
No.
No,
I don't care.
I still go out.
I'll still go out. I got my Forerunner. My Forerunner will protect me. I got bear spray in there anyway. So.
Have you ever gotten too close to a tornado?
I think River City would have been the closest one. I wasn't too worried though. I think there was one situation. It wasn't a tornado, but it was a situation where we were kind of in the right place with wrong situations, I guess. So it was a high risk day, and they were calling for a potential outbreak. And so there was a whole bunch of chasers out, and we ended up in the right place. I have never seen storms initiate so fast. I think it went from we saw the CU field, Cumulus field, and it was in 2017, and it was our last chase day. And it was literally a CU field. All of a sudden, the tower started firing off, And it had gone from that to tornado warned within, I would say, 10 minutes, if that. Like it was just incredible. And that's part of the reason why the tornadoes didn't happen. But like we had 1.5-inch hail that was basically kind of circulating us and coming at us. And then so we tried to get south. But what happened was there was train tracks and a train. And we got stuck there. And there was three cars in front of us. And I think it was maybe half a mile up was the road to go south to get away from this. So it was literally, these storms are kind of coming up behind us and we're just like sitting there going, and these things are tornado warned. You can see them spinning, and so I kind of got out, looked down the tracks, and there was only 4 or 5 cars on the train, thankfully. So it went past and we got out of there, but that was probably one of the sketchiest situations that I felt nervous because, I was somewhat leading the van of us that we were going. So I felt responsible. Right. So I didn't want to be in a bunch of hail. Like some people like hail. And if I'm not in a vehicle with protect myself and, protect my vehicle to a certain degree because I don't want to get hail dented.
I think I'm going to start carrying a Skidoo helmet with me just for that reason.
Yeah. And there was that one with Jordan that we were on as well by Bengoff. That one was kind of sketchy. So we ended up, I think I drove 10 hours. That's the one that I have on my Twitter, pinned on my Twitter, where it's yeah, there it is. He was ready with it. So just wait though. So we're sitting there and we get this beautiful sunset, we get lots of rotation, it's tornado warned. And, my data that day was so sketch. It was horrible. And so we get up to the tail end, Charlie, go up to this thing. And, we had, I think it was 9:30 by that point. And we could have taken the north road to go home, the south road to kind of get away from home, but get away from the storm, which is where we should have gone. And then there was an east road, and it's like, well, the east road was not the greatest. It was the only one. The east road had nothing coming off of it for, I think, 23 kilometers, 30 kilometers, something like that. So we basically, once we get on this road, we're on it, and it literally went boo, boo, and up and down. And it was so after looking at it, a couple miles down the road of it, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So we're just going to stay put. And when I looked at the data was outdated to begin with. So it didn't look like it was that bad for rain or hail or anything like that. Like we figured we would have gotten some small hail at the most. And then it looked like the rotation had already passed us. So I wasn't too worried. So this is where lessons learned. Look at the timestamp on the damn thing, right? So I ended up parking west in between 3 grain silos. So I had one in front of me, and then one on the right of me, and one on the left of me. Jordan ended up parking facing north. And I still had no data, so I couldn't even be in contact with Jordan. And this is what we had. Like the winds definitely shifted at one point. So we had these inflow winds that were going in, and we're pretty certain that there could have been a tornado just in front of this. But these grain bins, I was watching them lift to the south. So at the same time that this was happening, I had grain bins lifting to the south.
Oh man!
So it was very sketch. It was very sketch. So that was a lessons learned kind of a day.
That is raining sideways.
Yeah. Well, no, this is the inflow. Like it was just like if you heard this, like the winds were just so. Yeah, these are what was sucking into the storm.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've definitely been too close.
Yeah. So I think it was Mike from Alberta had messaged me the next day and said, were you guys inside a tornado? Like, what happened? Like there was, and you could hear in Jordan's video, he's like, oh yeah, there's the couplet. Like we're right next to it. It's tightening up. And it's like, I had zero data. I was trying to contact him to say, what the heck is going on here? And I couldn't because I had no data. So
scary stuff.
Man.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
No.
I actually have a couple of nice scars from that one. So on my truck.
Shannon does not recommend doing that, just as a disclaimer.
No.
Yeah.
That was a lesson that it won't happen again.
Yes. Do you ever chase nocturnal tornadoes? And if so, are there any precautions that you would take?
I have not really. I think I was with Braden and Tom, and we did once, but I was trusting Braden and he knows what he's doing. I honestly, I wouldn't do it. You can't see what you're doing. I mean, it's dangerous.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I know driving at night, like if you're driving any kind of half decent speed, like if something's in front of you, you just can't stop on a dime, you know, like if you're close to a tornado, if you know that there's one in the vicinity, there could be stuff on the road. Like you know, I've been driving down a road. I think I was driving down a gravel road doing about 80. And then all of a sudden the road just ended. So slamming on the brakes and, you know, you're sliding and, you know, I was like probably this close from the end of road sign. But, you know, imagine a power pole being down and coming across that at 100 kilometers an hour, right?
Yep. Scary.
Yeah.
Not good.
So what's the scariest moment you've had while storm chasing then?
I think that one time with the train, just, you know, being uncertain. I've come close to lightning, but I wouldn't say that I was scared. I've had lightning kind of strike off to my right, and then the feelers come out and actually burn my eyeballs, like where you like it's just like you've just got this flash in front of your eyes, and that was in the daytime, and you know, as my one eye, like I was pretty much blinded for a couple minutes with that
So
burned into my eye. Yeah. But I've been pretty close to some lightning.
So there are many types of storm chasers out there. So we are wondering, what type of chaser are you? Are you in it for the science? Are you in it for the photos, the videos, the adrenaline rush?
You know,
food.
I don't get the adrenaline rush out of it. I don't. I really don't. You know, maybe off close lightning, but you know, I keep a level head. I'm in amazement of, you know, the power of Mother Nature. I think that's, you know, what I'm in for, like, is just seeing it, just witnessing it. You know, taking photos of it is a bonus for me, just being able to share that with people. You know, it's just witnessing it. It's just experiencing it and feeling it. But there's just nothing quite like it. Like, yeah, it's hard to explain.
Do you know what the most miles you've traveled in a single chase were?
Yes, I do.
We all know
that. So this would have been, I think I was driving for 36 hours within a 48-hour period. And so I had driven from Oklahoma City because Tom's dad was supposed to be in, I think this was on a Wednesday. His dad was supposed to be in. So I think that that morning I left, driven to Nebraska, chased for, I don't know how many hours, ended up driving up to the south of South Dakota, meeting up with Jordan and Arter and Barb for the night, and then we had breakfast, and then we all kind of went our separate ways, and I ended up chasing in Kansas that day, and then went all the way back to Oklahoma City again. So it was from Oklahoma City to where we ended up in South Dakota. It was 741 miles, and then it was that all the way back, basically. Yeah. So
That's a good chase. That's a
yeah.
healthy chase.
I loved it. I loved it.
Bit of a jaunt.
That's what I live for. That's what I live for. The driving and just, being out there with, seeing this and, visiting new places and seeing new terrain, and yeah, love it. Love.
So with traversing all those provinces and states, which is your favorite to chase in?
Hi, Tom. My favorite to chase in. Kansas, I would say. I really like Kansas.
And why is that? Why is that?
Just the terrain, I think. It's pretty open. Lots of fields. The roads aren't the best. Up in Canada, though, Saskatchewan's got to be the topper.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah,
That's what I was fishing for.
Yeah. Saskatchewan. Always.
Shayla's just rolling her eyes.
Okay, parts of Saskatchewan, but like this corner over here next to me is like a dead zone. Like, don't go there ever unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Roads are terrible and the self-service is non-existent, but
True.
There's lots of cool abandoned buildings, so that is one.
But the roads are always reliable. Like Manitoba and Saskatchewan, for the most part, the roads are always reliable. I remember driving down one road in Manitoba, chasing, and I don't even know where this was. And we're driving along, and then all of a sudden, the road basically turned to quicksand. Like it was sand, but mud. And it was just like, okay, just keep the foot on the gas. Just keep the foot on the gas. Stick it in like the sand mud mode, and away I go. Right? Like down in Kansas and Oklahoma, and that, like, some of those roads down there are like pure mud. Like they're slick. Like I don't know how some people do it, but I need more training in that 4x4ing area. So that'll be on my agenda for next year.
How half the time they're in cars that don't have any sort of off-roading capability, and they're kind of stuck. So that's just what happens. But
True.
You gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vorticity Storm Tours, the experience of a lifetime. Started in 2016 as Manitoba Storm Chasers Tours, we've been providing guests from around the world the experience of a lifetime for 5 years. Our team is comprised of highly educated storm chasers with over a decade of experience chasing in both Tornado Alley and the Canadian Prairies, as well as experience running storm chasing tours both within tour companies and individually. With the goal of getting you the best storms while giving you the experience of a lifetime. Our team prides itself on taking the greatest precautions when it comes to your safety. All of our team members are certified in emergency first aid, CPR, and Skywarn. We maintain a safe distance from tornadic winds in order to ensure optimal safety, but close enough for you to see and feel the raw power of Mother Nature. We do daily inspections of our chase rigs before and during each chase to ensure optimal safety and reliability. Our number one goal is to safely let you experience Mother Nature in her most powerful form. So, if you're ready for the adventure of a lifetime, book your spot now. Now booking Tornado Alley 2022. Visit vorticitystormtours.com to book your seat.
This is where
I can't hear lightning, but good. We hope so. We really, really hope so, because it's not been a little bit of a rocky start for us with this game.
Okay, excuse me. I did really well. So
Exactly, which is terrible for us.
You were like, how do I fill this dead air now that
Well, this was a terrible, terrible mistake, but we've been getting better. We've been making them harder.
That's good. That's good. Not good for Shannon, good for us.
That's right.
I tried to study a little bit, but hopefully there's a Canada one in here or two.
So what we're going to do is it's going to be a single tornado. We'll give you 3 facts. And if you still can't guess it after 3 facts, then we'll start giving you your lifelines. And if you can't get it after that, then we win.
Okay.
All right. So fact number 1. Just got to make sure that they line up with, there we go. So it damaged a shopping center and numerous vehicles.
Do I not get a picture of it?
No.
What?
No, you don't. Sorry.
Oh, God.
No visual aids. This is a closed book test.
Okay, no clue.
Fact number 2, it killed 42 people, and 25 of those deaths were vehicle related.
That sounds horrible.
It does.
It does.
Why did we choose this one?
Because it was really tough.
No, still no clue.
So fact number 3, at times it was 1.5 miles wide. It continued northeast into Oklahoma where it dissipated.
Tulsa?
I just got no, it's no sound effects. That'd be like the womp 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 womp
Jordan,
womp.
come on.
He's just sitting there giggling.
He's probably gone. He's probably
Oh,
not there.
He's got his hands thrown up in the air.
Okay, so what do I get for lifelines?
Okay, so your first lifeline is it caused over 1,700 injuries, destroyed over 3,000 homes.
Okay, that's another tip. That's not a lifeline.
And left 20,000 homeless.
Who do I get to call?
Call Tom. Call Tom Smetana right there.
Oh, there, Tom's guessing.
Okay. No.
But that's wrong.
Ah.
Lifeline number 2, it was the most infamous of Texas tornadoes. This huge F4 first touched down about
You said
3
it was
miles.
it was in Oklahoma, though.
That's where it dissipated.
Okay.
So this huge F4 first touched down about 3 miles northeast of Holiday, Texas.
Can I use my phone?
You can.
Friend.
You got one more lifeline though.
Okay.
This tornado occurred on April 10th, 1979.
I don't know my tornado history.
Garrett. Look
Garrett.
at Garrett's comment.
Garrett nailed it.
Perfect.
Which one?
Well, one of those. Which you can pick. One of those 2 is right. Oh,
Huh? What?
it was the Wichita Falls tornado of
I would have
1979.
guessed the wrong one anyways.
Jordan had it up on screen.
I thought I got to guess based off of pictures. Come on, guys.
No. I guess we could do that, but
That could be a lifeline though, like insert a quick photo of it.
Mhm.
there we go.
It still wouldn't have helped me on this one though. So
Write that down, Jordan.
I will say mine was pretty simple compared to yours, Shannon. So
thanks.
you're welcome.
All right.
Thanks,
well-
Jordan. Thanks.
No, actually, I picked this one. This was the first one I got to
thanks,
pick.
Curtis. Thanks.
God, Curtis.
I wouldn't have admitted that if I was you.
I know, but
I'm not going to let you live that one down next time I see you.
I feel like I don't do enough to help the show. Jordan does everything behind the scenes, so I feel like I did my one little part this time.
Put that hat on.
That's right. Yeah, it's my toque.
It's sweating.
It's very, very warm. It just keeps getting higher and higher on my head. So, Shannon, where can people find you on social media?
Shan Bill, SHA. Oh, only one L. Only one L.
Oh,
It'll be fixed in a second.
delete.
It'll be edited. Honestly, my name, I'm the only Shannon Bileski out there. So Google Shannon Bileski. And it's spelled bile as in like
There we
puking
go.
bile and ski. So like your
Bileski.
Bileski. Yeah. So Shan Bill, everything is under Shan Bill. So yeah,
Perfect.
easy.
And
easy.
and Michaela, where can people find you?
Oh, also my original name that my mother decided to name me, at Michaela Iwasik on Twitter, at Michaela Iwasik on Instagram. Probably don't find me on Facebook. I don't post anything interesting other related there. Yeah, Curtis? You wanna-
Well, you can find the PDS podcast on Twitter at the PDS podcast, Jordan at Manitoba Storm Chasers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can find me at 706 Photos everywhere. So if you listen to this and liked it, please do us a favor and subscribe to it on your favorite podcast app. And if your app lets you leave reviews, please do that. That just helps us get found by the search engines and gets our rating bumped up the charts a little bit. And
I
yeah.
saw that it was pretty high on the chart.
Every now and then we get a pretty good spike. It's
I don't
exciting
know.
to see. It's crazy. Couldn't do it without everyone listening though.
So become a supporter on Facebook for the chance to win exclusive merch and prizes. And don't forget to head over to mbstormredbubble.com, which has all of that amazing merch that was up on the screen a while ago. And make sure you tune in for episode 6, live on December 28th, with some weird guy that I don't really think should be on a podcast. Just kidding.
This was how we got Michelle to agree to come co-host with us. Is we let her introduce.
Because I get to razz the next guy. Aaron Jayjack will be the next guest on the PDS podcast, and be prepared for that. He likes to talk a lot, so should be good. And thank you so much, Shannon. I haven't seen you in a long time, so it was great to see you. We met many years ago at an AW in Mooseman, and here we are on a podcast. So
yeah, that was good. You too.
Yes. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas. Thank you guys
everyone.
for having me. Merry Christmas, guys. It's been a blast. I needed this, so thank you.
Great. Take care, Shannon. Thanks, Curtis.
Thank you for listening to the PDS Podcast. Find our bi-weekly show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, or your favorite podcast app. And watch our live show recordings on Facebook and YouTube. To find our merchandise, visit mbstorm.redbubble.com. If you'd like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, reach out to us on Twitter or shoot us an email to pdspodcast@mbstormchasers.com. Make sure you join us next time and tell your friends and family about the PDS Podcast.